Good evening to all of you.
Good evening.
Before I make a few remarks, before we get started, I'm going to bring the pastor of this historical church, Quinn Chapel. It's a historical church. He can tell you about it. I'm going to bring the pastor, Pastor Moody, and he's going to bring the AME chairperson to say a few words, Pastor Tyson, and then we'll get started. Pastor Moody.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And we thank God for Dorothy Brown and the organization that is actually operating to put on this event. My name is the Reverend James Moody. I am the senior pastor of Quinn Chapel, African Methodist Episcopal Church. You are here in the building that actually houses the first congregation, African American congregation, established in the city of Chicago. You're here in a building that was built by that same congregation in 1891. It is being restored right now, and it is a part of the legacy and the history of this city. The building was actually built and erected not just for sacred worship, but for events like this one that are happening tonight. So we welcome you to this edifice, to this space, because your being here is a part of the fulfilling of our mission as the body of Christ in this city. If you will, I'm going to say a prayer, then bring up Presiding Elder Albert D. Tyson, Dr. Albert D. Tyson III, Presiding Elder of the North District of the African Methodist Episcopal Church, who is also my immediate boss. God bless you, sir. So let's pray. Why don't we pray? Dear God, we do thank you for the wonderful privilege, Lord, of gathering the people who are here today, that there would be an exchange of information, Lord, that allows us to move toward that political process that we call elections. Lord, let there be a sharing. Let there be an exchange. Let there be a lifting up. That, Lord, as we go forward, the lives of the people who will be affected by the votes taken and the candidates elected, that they will be considered in all cases, in all statements, in all actions. So thank you, Lord. Be present. Guide us, keep us. In Jesus' name we pray. Let the people of God together say, Amen. Amen. Presiding Elder Dr. Albert D. Tyson, if you would come up and greet us, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Pastor Moody. I'm generally accustomed when I come to greet people to hearing someone lift their hands and offer applause because the presiding elder has come to the podium. So I don't know what I'm going to do so thank you all very much for the applause. Pastor Moody has already welcomed everyone into this sacred space, and I certainly want to thank Dorothy Brown for the initiative that has been put forth in order to allow the community to hear these candidates express themselves so that we can make some intelligent choices in the coming days. Based on what we see going on in other places a little farther east from here, we know we need to make some intelligent choices. Amen and praise the Lord. God bless you. Welcome to Quinn Chapel.
So good evening to all of you once again. This is the facility and the location that we have the Friends of Dorothy Brown's meeting on a monthly basis. And we thought that we would share this meeting time with the candidates tonight to give them an opportunity to come and let us hear exactly what they plan to do in their various offices. And partnering with me is the organization, the Cook County Democratic Women's Organization, President Ms. Ricky Jones. This young lady needs no organization. She's an organization in and of herself. Ms. Betty Magnus, community and political activist. And then the Southside NAACP President, Ms. Rose Joshua, will be here, but they do have a table in the back for memberships for the Southside NAACP. And then we also have a voter registration table in the back from Rainbow Push organization. And there is a table for literature if you'd like to leave some. However, you can feel free to give literature to the individuals in the audience. This is indeed a political meeting, so you don't have to worry about the fact that we're in a church because we pay to rent this space. So you can pass as much out as you want to. Ask for the vote. You don't have to be nervous about asking for a vote in here because you're in the church, because we pay to utilize this space. And so this is a political meeting to have political discussions. Now, the way we're going to do this is that we know that the statewide candidates have various places to go throughout the state. So we will call them in the order in which they arrived tonight. And then the same with the countywide candidates, because I know how that is because I run countywide. So, and this is a huge county. The largest county in the state, and of course the second largest in the country. So it's like running in the state. So we're going to call them in the order in which they arrived as well. We're going to take turns calling individuals. Now, then we'll intersperse the judicial candidates, because I know many times we just make the judicial candidates wait till last, right? We won't do that to you all tonight, but we'll intersperse them. And of course, we have county commissioners, we have state representative candidates, we have various candidates in the room, so we will give everyone an opportunity. However, we don't want you to take all night, even though Pastor will let us stay, but my rent will probably go up if we stay too long. But what we're going to do is the individuals that are statewide and countywide, you can have 5 minutes. I mean, if you don't want to use all of them, that's fine. You can give it to your next person if you want to. But you can have 5 minutes to present. Make it 2. If that's what you want. But I know we have a limited number of statewide and countywide candidates, so we're not limiting you. But everyone else, we want you to do 2 to 3 minutes. And so we're going to 2. Betty wants 2. But I'm not gonna. We're going to be timing you. Who's my timer out there? Mr. McMullen. All right. Pull your iPhone out. I know you have one. And okay, thank you. And I have just been passed a list of elected officials who are not candidates, who are actually here in support. And just as a FYI, we are taping this for CAN TV. So you want to be cognizant of that as you're presenting. You won't be just presenting to the individuals in this room. You'll also be presenting to those that will be in the audience of CAN TV. And there's another camera there. I'm not sure who that gentleman is. Someone can find out who he is, but I know the camera that I brought. But but we'll find out who. But you're taping for his audience as well, just so that you know. We're not concerned about, because the word needs to get out. So we have with us tonight Mr. Curtis McMullen, who is a trustee for University Park. Mr. Curtis McMullen. We have an appointed official, Mr. Stan Brown, Dalton Park Commissioner. Where is he? There he is. We have Mr. Edward Moody, Cook County Commissioner. And he brought his cheering squad tonight. We have Ms. Vicki Moody, an appointed official, Worth Township Highway Commissioner. First female to be a highway commissioner.
There's never ever been a female elected township highway commissioner in 165 years. Wow, the first female.
And you know her? You're like her campaign manager. Okay, Mr. John O'Sullivan, Worth Township Supervisor. Where's the John? Where's John? We have the mayor of Maywood, Mr. Dwayne Perkins. Where's Mayor Perkins? Mayor Perkins, good to see you, Mayor. If someone can get a seat up on the stage for the mayor, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And we have the school board president, Ms. of Lindop School Board District, Princess Dempsey. There she is. So we're going to start with our statewide candidates, and I have, there she is, Ms. Rose Joshua, the president of the NAACP. We're going, you guys okay with 3 minutes, the statewide? I want them to at least have 3, the statewide. You okay with it? Okay, 3 minutes for the statewide, and then we can do 2 for the others. Okay, all right. So we're going to start with the first candidate that arrived, and he is a candidate for Attorney General, the first statewide candidate that arrived, and that's Mr. Kwame Raoul.
Well, thank you, Clerk Dorothy Brown. I've known Dorothy since law school. We actually went to law school at the same time at Chicago-Kent. I'm going on 25 years of practice. I've worked in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. I've worked in a small community practice where I took a lot of cases on a payment plan where the only payment I got was a down payment. I worked as an in-house counsel with City Colleges of Chicago, and I've worked with 2 major law firms. I worked in a wide variety of areas of law, and I mention this because one of the functions of the Attorney General is to be an attorney presiding over an office that covers a wide variety of practice of law. The other function of the Attorney General's office is to be an advocate, and it was 13 years ago that I was appointed to replace Barack Obama in the 13th Legislative District of the Illinois State Senate. And on that first day he was there, and I asked him for some advice. He said, "Come into my office." I said, "Isn't that my office now?" But what he did tell me was, make sure you spend some time with people from other parts of the state and even people on the other side of the aisle, because it's going to be important to when you least expect it. And so when I knew that we were sending more people to death row than any other state except for Florida for crimes they did not commit, and I put forth a bill to abolish the death penalty, and I only had 27 Democrat votes, I had to reach across the aisle to get 5 Republican votes to abolish the death penalty in the state of Illinois. But I knew that our work on criminal justice reform was not done, so I continued to work on criminal justice reform. I even met with our governor before he was governor. He was governor-elect, and I suggested that we work together on criminal justice reform. And he created a Criminal Justice Reform Commission, which I sat on. When Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, was passed, I sponsored the legislation that enacted the Affordable Care Act here. We knew of voting rights violations across the country. I passed the Illinois Voting Rights Act and a constitutional amendment protecting voting rights here. I guess what I'm saying to you all, done, 30 seconds in my next 30 seconds, I'm not running for Attorney General to do something new. I'm running for Attorney General to continue the work that I have been doing as an attorney for the last 25 years, as a state senator for the last 13 years. I have a record to stand on. I'm not going to present you what I promised to do, because I don't want you all to look at what I've done. The best evidence of what I will do is what I have done. So I'm Kwame Raoul. Kwame Raoul is a Haitian name. I'm a child of Haitian immigrants, and I don't come from an asshole. I thank you all for this opportunity. Kwame Raoul for Attorney General.
I failed to mention that we're going to permit one question from the audience for the statewide candidates. So one question. Anyone? No. Others? We got the one question.
When you mentioned that you introduced legislation to make sure that the young black men or people who have been arrested unnecessarily, you stop that, right? And then what else have you done to help rehabilitation for the young black men who've
Sure.
been arrested unnecessarily?
Sure. There is, first of all, Stan Willis, who came from my law school as well, approached me years ago about folks who had been tortured. I was the sponsor of the bill that created the Torture Inquiry Commission. So when you talk about people who were arrested unnecessarily, it's not just people who were put on death row, it's a whole lot of other people too, who were tortured into their confession. So I created an avenue for them to have their cases reopened, for them to be able to seek relief. Initially, it was passed to only cover those who were under the command of John Burge, but we knew at the time that it was more expansive than that. So I followed it up with legislation to expand it county-wide. So it's not just the torture that happened under the command of Burge, not only the torture that happened under the Chicago Police Department, but their police departments throughout the county. And eventually, hopefully, it could go statewide. The other thing that I want to talk about is it's essential to the Attorney General's office is resources. You know, our communities are suffering because of lack of resources. And the Attorney General gets to direct victims' resources. I've been asking the question, how much of these victims' resources have been going to the most victimized communities? And to what extent are we defining victims to include young black men who may have their pants sagging or who may be dressed a certain way, but who've been victims of their trauma from ongoing violence in the community? I also sponsored a bill for trauma recovery centers to be piloted okay, I could go on.
Time. So we're going to time these answers to 1 minute. There'll be like 10 minutes.
I could have gone on to the end of the night.
Thank you. All right, so the next statewide candidate that's here is Ms. Sharon Fairley for Attorney General.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be here to address you tonight. Thank you so much, Dorothy Brown, for making this opportunity available to us. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sharon Fairley, and I am a candidate for the Office of Attorney General. Ladies and gentlemen, I got into this race because I and the people that I know and love are outraged by the vicious attacks by the Trump administration on our civil rights and our health and well-being, and I want to do something about it. I and the people that I love and care about are frustrated by the failure of our political leaders to solve the pressing problems that we have, leaving our state stuck in a never-ending political quagmire. And I and the people that I know and love and care about are disillusioned watching our elected officials helping to line the pockets of corporate and special interests while failing to deliver economic prosperity and the educational equality that our communities deserve. Our state needs a new kind of leadership, a leadership that I will bring, experienced, principled, and independent to stand up for us and not the political interests and the corporate interests. Everything that I have done in my life has prepared me for this role. I served in the office that I seek to lead as an Assistant Attorney General. I served as a federal prosecutor prosecuting violent crimes here in Chicago. I prosecuted the murder of the teller of the Illinois Service Federal Loan Savings back 10 years ago. And in the last 2 years, I've spent working on reform of the police department, pushing through, making sure that they revise their use of force policies, asking them and demanding that they implemented new policies to deal with crisis intervention and dealing with individuals with mental health, dealing with the way that officer-involved shootings are handled. I went out to the scene of every officer-involved shooting that happened under my watch. And under my watch, the agency responsible for those investigations found officers disobeyed the law more times than IPRA had ever done in the 8 years that it existed before our leadership team took over. So I am running on what I've accomplished, and I've demonstrated that I have the leadership to do this job and to fulfill this job in a way that someone who is beholden to the political leadership cannot. So my name is Sharon Fairley. I'm running for Attorney General. Check out my website, SharonFairley.com, and I hope to have your support March 20th. Thank you.
Now we have one, Sharon. One question for Sharon Fairley.
We're going to hold it to 1 minute.
This gentleman.
Yes, sir.
I really value the remarks you just made about needing leadership and to do more. What makes you different than Lisa Madigan? And what would you do differently?
So I'm different in that I have no preformed relationships, commitments, debts owed to any of the political leadership in the state of Illinois. When I get into this office, I will have done it on my own. I will have done it without the campaign contributions from the political leadership. I will have done it all on my own. And what I plan to do differently is, number one, focus on bringing some integrity to our political leadership. We went for 3 years without a legislative inspector general. Nobody was minding this door on that. I will be minding this door, holding our political leaders accountable in a way that they have never been held before, which is exactly what I did when I was responsible for overseeing the police department. So that's how I'll be different.
We have one final AG candidate here, Mr. Renato Mariotti.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, they say hard to pronounce, easy to remember, right? My name's Renato Mariotti. I'm running for Attorney General. Let me introduce myself to you. I was born in Chicago. My mother's family's from Little Italy. My dad's family's from Cicero. You can tell I'm pretty Italian from those two neighborhoods. My parents didn't go to college. They both worked 2 jobs to help make ends meet. My dad was a barber during the day, and at night he delivered newspapers. And my mom worked at the local State Farm insurance agent answering the phones, and at night she made crafts. And I would help her on the weekends, taking the crafts to the craft shows so that we could make ends meet. I was fortunate enough, thanks to their hard work and a lot of scholarships, to go to the University of Chicago, went to Yale Law School. Eventually, I became a federal prosecutor here in Chicago. I was hired by Pat Fitzgerald. I was there for about a decade. I'm 41 now. And I focused a lot on white-collar crime. I went after these people who use high-speed computers to manipulate the stock market. And I went after a man who stole just hundreds of thousands of dollars from our TIF system. Because frankly, there's a lot of corruption around that system. The money does not flow where it needs to. It's being taken advantage of by people like him who have a connection to somebody in power. And I went after lots of bankers who took advantage of the elderly, and lots of other folks who took advantage of people like my family and a lot of your families. People who frankly are struggling, people who are victimized because they don't have somebody looking out for them. So the reason I'm running for Attorney General is because there's a lot of families like mine. I mean, my dad is still a cashier at Walmart. He doesn't get the hours he deserves. He doesn't get the wages he deserves. And a lot of people don't have somebody like me to help them send some money every month to try to make up that gap. There are a lot of people who need an Attorney General out there fighting for them. There are banks out there that are preying on people, and they need an Attorney General who's going to go after banks that are trying to take advantage of people. And frankly, we need a political process that has somebody who is a total outsider. I'm not a political appointee of anybody, of ROMS or anyone else. I'm not an elected official. I'm somebody who frankly has had a great career as a lawyer and been honored to serve in that capacity, who wants to take the skills that I learned being a trial lawyer and a prosecutor to the Attorney General's office. So I ask for your support, and I ask for you to join our campaign. I have a grassroots campaign. We're organizing from the ground up. I want you to be part of it. Go to our website, RenatoMariotti.com, or you can come see me later today. Thank you very much.
One question for Mr. Mariotti.
Yes, you mentioned the TIF program. That's been used by every mayor in Chicago as a personal money fund to get the folks who agree with him. Give me one example of how you're going to change that.
You know, what I would like to do is investigate our TIF system, to be very frank, and investigate where the money is going. You know, one thing that we have in this state is the bar is too low for our elected officials. Where essentially, isn't that right? It's basically, if you're not indicted, if you're not convicted, if it's not a crime, then it's okay. And what we need to do is a lot more investigating and shedding some light on what's happening in this state and in this city, because really we need to raise the bar for our elected officials so that people know and we can vote them out of office. That's what we need to do.
Ms. Betty Magnus is going to bring a county commissioner, because he has another interview. You in the second?
Second.
Yeah. Just want to make sure. Everybody needs
needs to know their political address. You know that, right? Right, okay. Our next speaker will be Mr. Dennis Deere, who is the 2nd District County Commissioner.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I start out every speech with God is good. And all the time. God is good. Listen, my name is Dennis Deere, born and raised on the west side of Chicago in an area called North Lawndale. 70% of the males 18 to 45 are ex-incarcerated. At 10 years old, I saw my first murder. At 10 years old. And I vowed that I'd come back to my community and do whatever it took to change. And I've been doing that ever since. About 6 months ago, I was appointed to become the commissioner of the 2nd County District after a good friend and mentor of over 25 years suddenly passed away, and that was Commissioner Robert Steele. He and I were very passionate about some of the same issues, including fiscal responsibility, economic development, public safety, and affordable health care. And those are issues that I have been fighting for since I've been on the county board. I didn't just start working. I've been working probably since I was 15 years old, working in my community. Boy, did the time go fast. Working in my community to do what's right. I am an individual, again, that believes that time threw me off. I'm an individual, again, that believes in fairness. I have been working very hard. I worked on the Second Chance Act with the Congressman Davis. I'm actually down in the congressional records as one of the architects there. I've been working to help ex-incarcerated men and women. Started a community mental health center about 15 years ago, and a substance abuse center, because I believe in fighting for our community. I'm not talking about what I'm going to do, it's what I've been doing since I've been on the county board. I introduced a sexual harassment ordinance because it's important that folks know that they can't put their hands on folks and say what they want to say and do quid pro quo and have an individual in a hostile work environment. I believe that that is important. We're working very hard on criminal justice reform legislation because I believe that everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody. And guess what? No matter who we all are ex-something. They say my time is up. Thank you all. Oh, do I have a question? Oh, no questions for me. God bless each and every one of you. Dennis Deere, hope to get your support.
We love you, Dennis.
The next speaker for the county, and we're trying to do this list in the order that people arrived, even though we had not started yet. So the next speaker for county will be President Toni Preckwinkle.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, when I was elected in 2010, I had 2 goals for Cook County. One was the sustainability of our healthcare system, and the other was criminal justice reform. 50% of our budget is healthcare, 50%. We operate 2 hospitals, Stroger and Provident, and 16 clinics across the county. That's always been our mission and our responsibility. In addition, we now have a Medicaid expansion program called County Care, which I hope you're familiar with, and there are 400,000 people who've gotten health care coverage as a result of County Care. Please understand that this is part of the Affordable Care Act, President Obama's signature piece of legislation that President Trump is doing everything that he can possibly to destroy. So we've got our work cut out for us, not just on behalf of our healthcare system, but also the 400,000 people who are now part of our Medicaid expansion program. That's 50% of our budget. 40% of our budget is criminal justice. I want to acknowledge and thank Clerk of the Court Dorothy Brown, along with the Chief Judge, the Sheriff, the Public Defender, the State's Attorney. All the actors in the criminal justice system have worked hard to make our criminal justice system more fair in the last 7 years. And as a result, when we started, there were 10,000 people in the jail, the overwhelming majority awaiting trial, not serving a sentence. 10,000 people in the jail when we started. 7% were serving a sentence, 93% were awaiting trial. And of those awaiting trial, 70% were awaiting trial for nonviolent crimes, low-level drug possession, shoplifting, not paying their child support. We've worked hard to try to get those people accused of nonviolent crimes to be out in the community, working, going to school, as they await the disposition of their cases. And the number of people in the jail now is about 6,000. So we've made great progress. I hope to continue that work over the next 4 years. I'd be grateful for your help and support in 2018 as I had it in 2010 and 2014. Thank you very much.
George, we set a policy that questions only for the statewide candidates. You can ask her a question afterwards, if you like.
She needs to be questioned also.
All right. Okay. We have another statewide candidate that I'd like to bring, and he's representing the candidate for governor, Chris Kennedy. His lieutenant governor is here, Mr. Rod Joy.
Good evening. My name is Rod Joy. I'm a progressive Democrat. I'm a candidate for lieutenant governor, and I'm proud to be Chris Kennedy's running mate in his campaign to become the next governor of Illinois. It's great to be here at historic Quinn Chapel. I'd like to thank the Honorable Dorothy Brown and other organizers for pulling this forum together. I've spent my entire adult life fighting to make change happen in this state. I had the pleasure of serving as a senior staffer for one of the most progressive members of the Illinois congressional delegation for many years. For the last 10 years, I served as executive director of 2 different statewide public policy and advocacy organizations. Most recently, I served at the helm of a group called Change Illinois, which is an acronym for the Coalition for Honest and New Government Ethics. I was pleased to work with the coalition to help bring automatic voter registration to Illinois at a time when other states were erecting high hurdles between citizens and the ballot box. Illinois is the first state in the Midwest to adopt AVR. I have 3 minutes, brother. I'm statewide.
He's statewide.
I'm statewide. Give me 3 minutes, brother. 3 minutes. Yeah. Go back to sheet. Go back to sheet. So I think I know firsthand what makes our state great. I also know firsthand what makes our state ugly and brutal and vicious. And this summer, I lost my oldest son, Xavier Joy, to senseless gun violence. June 8th, 2017 was the worst day of my life as I endured every parent's worst nightmare. And ever since that horrific day, our focus has been how to prevent other families from enduring the anguish and sorrow that our family has experienced. I tell people every chance I get, this campaign is the challenge and opportunity of a lifetime. 50 years ago, my running mate's father, Chris Kennedy's father, Bobby Kennedy, launched a campaign for president based upon the principles of peace, justice, and compassion for those who suffer. And now, a half-century later, Chris and I are running a statewide campaign based upon these same ideals. We've had an opportunity to travel all over Illinois, and we know that there's a lot of human suffering right now in this state. We know that there's a lot of hopelessness and joblessness. There are entire communities that are treated like failed businesses, cut off from the main economy and forced to sink or swim on their own. And people who can often vote with their feet by moving away. And as a result, we have a crisis situation in this state. The fundamental premise of our campaign is it doesn't have to be this way. Voters recognize that Illinois must change, that we need a newer and better Illinois. We need an Illinois where equity is paramount, where black lives truly matter, where public officials serve the public good, where ordinary people have strong political voice, and where all of our children, regardless of their race, their religion, the zip code they live in, where all of our children can grow and achieve their full God-given potential. And that's why we're running for office. If you're sick and tired of politics as usual in this state, we invite you to join our campaign. We need your activism, your engagement. We look forward to working together in the lead up to March 20th, and I look forward to working with everyone here today to get Bruce Rauner out of office. Thank you.
One question for the Lieutenant Governor. We have someone in the back there.
Can you speak to your candidacy and the advocacy that you would have in regard to mental health care? Because I think that that's very important in this day and age.
You know, I consider myself a very strong person. I have no idea how children in this city operate under so much stress and the constant threat of personal safety. I know that trauma is to mental health what smoking is to cancer. I know that hurt people hurt people. I think it's a damn shame what this mayor has done to public mental health facilities in this city, where he closed half of them. I think it's even worse what his partner in crime, his friend and former business partner, Bruce Rauner, has done to mental health services across the state. We're running to put an end to that. We want to have an equity agenda where we're putting resources where they're needed most. Thank you.
President of Cook County Democratic Women, calling some a judicial candidate, Ms. Ricky Jones.
I'm praying I pronounced this name right. Deborah Ciro, Judicial Candidate for the Second Sub-Circuit. How you say it? So sorry, Secret. Thank you.
Minute and 30 seconds. Okay, my name is Judge Deborah A. Seaton. I'm running for my seat in the Second Sub-Circuit, and my slogan is Keep Seaton's Seat on the Bench. I was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court in May 2017 to the Circuit Court judge position. Prior to that, I had over 25 years of experience in pretty much every area of law on the criminal side, everything from traffic, mental health, juvenile, appeals, and even handling death penalty cases. I believe that I handled the last death penalty case in Cook County before the death penalty was abolished. I believe I've been found qualified by all of the bar associations and found highly qualified by 3 of them. I believe that we need a voice for justice. I believe that judges are gatekeepers of justice. I was a voice for the voiceless as a trial attorney, and now I am a voice as a gatekeeper of justice, being able to keep out the evidence that should not come in, and to really discern between police officers' testimony, having done so many trials. I normally can discern when they're lying and when something is wrong. So we need judges with guts, because it's not just enough to have the experience. If you don't have the guts to do something about it, then injustice will remain. And I am a person who will do something about it. And even on my 7 months of being a judge, I have already started doing that. Keep Seaton's seat on the bench. I think we're down to a minute. That was a long time. One more judge.
Yvonne Coleman, running for judge in the 5th Sub-Circuit.
Whoa, this is a big crowd. Good evening. My name is Judge Yvonne Coleman. I'm running for my seat, which is the 5th Judicial Sub-Circuit, the Patricia Banks vacancy. I, too, was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court back in March 2017 after an intensive investigation and evaluation by the 12 bar associations who found me well qualified, highly recommended, or qualified to serve as a circuit court judge. Prior to becoming a judge, I practiced law for more than 25 years, and I was a civil rights attorney. I handled primarily employment discrimination cases, representing individuals, primarily race discrimination cases, and also did sexual harassment, sex discrimination, age, and all the other aspects of discrimination in employment. I also served as the president of the Cook County Bar Association Foundation, which is our legal services program, where we provide free legal services for people in the community who cannot afford services. Throughout my entire legal career, and even in law school, I've always been dedicated to my community, to helping my people have access to justice. That was something that was always important to me. And I do the same thing in my courtroom. I make sure that I treat everyone who comes in my courtroom with dignity and respect. I am a public servant. It is your courtroom. You come into the courtroom. I am there to listen to you, to hear you. I sometimes have to make some uncomfortable decisions, but you will know that I will be fair. I have a passion for fairness and justice. Thank you.
We're going to call 2 state representative candidates, and then we'll go back to the countywide. No other statewide came, right? Okay. So our first state representative candidate that arrived tonight was Mr. Flynn Rush, and he's a candidate for state representative of the 25th district.
Thank you, Honorable Dorothy Brown. To the angel of this house, Pastor Moody, thank you for this opportunity. To all the distinguished politicians here, and to you, the audience, thank you for being here this evening. Hello, my name is Flynn Rush, and I'm working hard to become the next state representative for the 25th district. As we know all too well, our state has earned a wealth of unfavorable distinctions, from failing to pass a budget in over 2 years to being at the bottom of the list in funding public education, and having one of the highest rates of population decline in the nation. Therefore, it is critically important for us to have new and strong leadership committed to turning our state around and advocating for everyday working class people like you and me. As a concerned citizen, a former union construction laborer, a loving husband, a father, and a son of the civil rights movement, I have spent my life fighting for justice and democracy. We have witnessed many gains in our communities, but there is still tremendous work to be done. In the 25th district, we need and deserve bold, confident, and an innovative leader that will protect working families from escalating taxes, diminishing state programs and services, and mounting pension liabilities. We need a leader that will deliver real jobs and workforce development for programs to our community. We need a leader that understands that the best way to create safe communities is by addressing the systematic issues of violence, which involves changing our gun laws and revamping criminal justice system. We need a leader to be a strong champion of economic development and who will stimulate small business growth and reinvigorate our local economy.
Time.
I look for your support on March 20th. Vote Rush for Change. State Representative, the 25th District. Rush for Change.
All right, so we're going to have to do state representative at 1 minute. The next state representative candidate is Mr. Lamont Robinson. He is a candidate for state representative in the 5th district. Lamont Robinson.
The Honorable Dorothy Brown, thank you for this opportunity. Pastor Moody, thank you for allowing us to come before you this evening with the opportunity to bring candidates that want to bring change in the city of Chicago. My name is Lamont Robinson, and I am running for state representative in the 5th district. I am not new to the Bronzeville community. I am not new to Chicago. I have a business at 51st in Indiana, an insurance practice that I have built from the ground up, and I want to bring economic development to the 5th district. Secondly, as someone that runs a nonprofit for African American boys out of Kenwood High School, it is extremely important to me that we strengthen our neighborhood schools, that we bring programs to our youth. We have to...
Time.
Is that 1 minute? 1 minute's cut? Thank you. we have to create opportunities for our youth. That will end the violence that we're seeing in Chicago. As an adjunct professor at Harold Washington College, I understand the issues that plague our children. And I want to go to Springfield to not only strengthen our neighborhood schools, but make sure that we are equally funding our neighborhood schools. That is extremely important to me, as I want your support to go to Springfield on March 20th. I thank you for your time.
Okay, we're switching back again. We're going back to the county. The next person is Mr. Attorney Bob Fioretti, running for the county board treasurer.
Wow. I don't know, I'm looking at the timekeeper first on when to start. Good evening, everybody. You know, there's a theme here about change. And it's a theme here that I want to thank Reverend Austin, Ricky Jones, Clerk Brown for bringing everybody together here tonight. But it's a theme about why we're here. You know, this church that we're in is the first African-American church really in the city of Chicago. People like Frederick Douglass spoke in this church. Susan B. Anthony spoke in this church. Martin Luther King spoke in this church. Reverend Moody's a little humble about who has been here and what this church represents to this city and why the theme of change is necessary. My opponent in 8 years hasn't done the things that she said, but imposed regressive taxes on the poor and the working people. My opponent, who claims to do things about the jail, when I fought for people to get out of jail all of my career and made sure that those that were wrongly imprisoned found a way out there. I brought, for my 2 terms as alderman, I made sure that we had 8,000 jobs and community benefits agreements and not trusting the contractors out there to do the right thing, which they never do. In my career, in my first year as alderman, I turned back $100,000 to developers because I refused to accept that money. I'm going to refuse to do the same thing with those that do business with the County of Cook. I'm Bob Fioretti. I'm asking for your vote because unless we shackle ourselves and do the right thing and create the change that's necessary, we're never going to get out of the problems we face and the problems in our community. Let's face it, everybody. Please vote March 20th. Thank you.
Our next countywide person is Deborah Shore, Metropolitan Water Reclamation District.
Thank you, Clerk Brown, Pastor Moody. I'm Deborah Shore. I'm a member of the Board of Commissioners of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. That's the agency that treats sewage and manages stormwater. And I ran for this office because I believe water is going to be the issue in years to come. In many places it already is, and we have a key role to play in how we manage our precious freshwater resources. I supported disinfection of our treated water. I got a measure passed by the Cook County Board to expand safe, secure collection sites for people to dispose of their unused and expired medicine so they don't flush it down the toilet where it will get into our water supply. I'm the leading conservation advocate on the board. But more importantly, I'm running as a team with my colleagues, Commissioner Carrie Steele and Marty Durkin, and with Kim DuBouclay. We are a diverse slate, an experienced slate. We bring diligence and a terrific work ethic, and we're committed to keeping our water supply clean and safe. I'm honored to serve you, and I would humbly ask for your support. Thank you so much.
For Cook County Commissioner, Ms. Patricia Horton.
So that's a minute and a half.
A minute and a half.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to come before you. So I guess what I have to say, I have to say very quickly. I was appointed by Governor Quinn to the Illinois State Diabetes Commission. I've been on the CETA board. I was also the vice president of the Madison Western Chamber on Madison and Western, where we see the Peaks Produce. I was vice president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce called Devonport North, which is on the north side at Howard and Clark, which is another one of my developments. But more importantly, you all elected me a few years ago to be your water reclamation commissioner. And as your commissioner, I was able to save you over $51 million, and that was in negotiations without layoffs. I'm running now, thank you. I'm running now as your Cook County Commissioner. That is a very important role, and I feel as though with the experience that I have, being the tenacious person that I am, determined, Kuji Chakalia, to be your commissioner, a strong woman, a voice that you need on the Cook County Board to make sure that we don't have any more sugar taxes, to fight for what we need to do, especially regarding our health care and the unfairness that is going on with the property tax. I say enough is enough. Let's put some people on this board that is going to be responsible, who's going to speak up, and more importantly, speak for you. Thank you, Patricia Horton. Don't forget me. Horton is a me.
Next, Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin.
Let the church say amen. Amen. Let the church say amen again. Amen. I want to thank Clerk Dorothy Brown for the opportunity and all of the organizations that have participated tonight. I want to thank all of the candidates for coming out. I'm Richard Boykin, Cook County Commissioner for the 1st District. 4 years ago when I ran for County Commissioner, I ran on a platform of making our neighborhoods safer and providing economic opportunity for everybody, and also making sure that we have a strong independent voice on the county board. You took me on faith 4 years ago, and now I'm up again, and we have a record of actually providing a minimum wage increase that I'm proud of, a record of providing paid sick leave for everybody throughout the county, a record of repealing that regressive sugar tax, a record of standing up against the highest sales tax in the United States of America here in Cook County. And let me tell you, we got more work to do. We've done a lot, but we got a lot more to do. We also put the tax on ammunition. That was my bill. We also passed a bill to create a consortium to study and research health care issues related to gun violence, causes, and cures. Gun violence is the #1 issue that we have in this county, and we want to do something to reduce it. We want to make sure that we bring economic opportunity to every corner of this county that has been ignored for too long. Look, let me tell you, this election presents a clear choice. Whether we will move forward and continue to build the bridge for safer neighborhoods, whether we will move forward and continue to build that bridge for economic development and opportunities for everybody, or whether we will go back to the days of the status quo. I don't think we want to go back. We want to make sure that we have property tax assessment fairness in our county. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to succeed in our county. We want to make sure that everybody who's coming out of jails have an opportunity to get contracts, get on job sites, and go to work. We want to make sure that that happens. And we want to preserve our healthcare system that's under attack. And so I'm Richard Boykin. I approve this ad, and I need your support. Thank you so much. God bless.
County Board, Richard. Now, we wanted to just say, now, Rose Joshua, where's Rose? President of NAACP. Rose, you're welcome to come forward to the stage, please, one of our hosts. It's important that we listen to the judges. That's why we're interspersing them, so you get an opportunity to hear them. Jones is going to bring the next judge, and actually we're taking a personal privilege because this young lady is a member of the Friends of Dorothy Brown, and she's going to bring the next judicial candidate.
And she's also a member of Cook County Democratic Women, so she's one of ours. Judicial candidate Mary Melcher.
They say you used up my time, so we're going to calm that down. Good evening, and thank you to Friends of Dorothy Brown and the Democratic Women of Cook County. My name is Mary Alice Melcher, and I'm running for judge in the 5th Sub-Circuit in the Washington vacancy. I've been an attorney for 25 years, in which I served as an attorney for Chicago Housing Authority, where I practiced in civil division. I started out doing family law, divorce cases. So I practiced in the domestic relations division, and I did insurance defense for private firms as well as on my own, in which I participated in the law division. But one of the reasons why I want to be a judge is the same reason I became a lawyer, because I looked around and saw that apparently there were not enough lawyers that looked like me and looked like the community that I served. I want to be a judge in the 5th Judicial Sub-Circuit because that's my heart and soul. I was raised on 44th and Wells. I went to school at 43rd and Princeton and Hendricks. I taught school in Inglewood at John Hope Middle, Holden, and Sherman. I had an insurance agency at 73rd and Stony for 10 years. I moved to 52nd in Michigan so I could go to church at 53rd and Wabash, where I've been 41 years. And I now live at 44th and Ellis, where I've been since the 80s. This is my heart and soul, giving back to this community. That's why I want to be a judge in the 5th Judicial Sub-Circuit, because they need someone who looks like me, who's had the experiences they have had, and will listen to what they have to say, and then rule per the law accordingly. Thank you. I want your support and your vote on March 20th, 2018. Thank you.
Our next candidate for judge is Arthur West. Is your name Wellesley? Willis?
You got it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm so sorry.
What's sorry about? Now, I don't know how I'm going to do 2 minutes, because the last time I was talking... A minute and a half? All right. Last time I was at Baptist Church talking, helping out with the sermon, the pastor helped walk me off, because I went a little bit too long. I can give you an hour-long sermon on Jesus Wept, but I'm going to get this minute and a half in. I'm running for judge from the 2nd Sub-Circuit. That's the south side of Chicago and the south suburbs. You're going to hear from about 10 people here today from the 2nd Sub-Circuit. My race is one where there is no sitting judge, and I don't think any of my competition's here. If you're running from the 2nd Sub-Circuit, raise your hand. And you're not my competition, put it down. All right. Okay, so why do I want to be a judge? Well, I'm a public defender. I've been doing that since 1995. My whole goal is to help people out and serve people. I've been serving people ever since I got to be an attorney. After I got sworn in as an attorney, I worked for an organization called Minority Legal Educational Resources, MLER. We helped
You're clapping. You know why? Because these judicial candidates came through our organization and we helped them pass the bar. We helped over 200 minority people every year pass the bar. I did that right after I got out of law school and passed the bar. After that, I became a public defender. I've been doing that forever. I am on the executive board of my local union, and most importantly to me, I'm an elder at my church. I live my life by Jesus' commandment. When Jesus was asked, what is the greatest commandment? He said, love the God with all your heart and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's how I live my life. I'm also a nerd, so I have a poem that I love, and it's by Langston Hughes. It's called Justice. This is it. That justice is a blind goddess is a thing to which we blacks are wise. Her bandage hides two festering sores that once perhaps were eyes. I'm running to open those eyes up. I'm running to serve my people. Thank you very much, Arthur Wesley Willis. I'm going to be the last on your ballot, but hopefully first in your hearts. Thank you much.
Our next judicial candidate is from the 5th Sub-Circuit, and her name is Rhonda Salih.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Praise the Lord. Amen. I am Rhonda Salih, and I'm running for judge in the 5th Judicial Sub-Circuit, which is it goes from 26th Street to 74th Street and from the Lake to Western. If you do not live in that area, I do ask that you reach out and touch someone that you know in that area and ask them to vote Rhonda Salih for judge March 20th. I've been practicing for nearly 20 years, and in that time I've served as an administrative law judge for 2 local municipalities. I'm a hearing officer for the Illinois Registration and Disciplinary Commission, and I'm also an arbitrator for the Circuit Court of Cook County. And in doing so, I make it my business to make sure that the people that appear in front of me know that what they've said has been heard and what they said has been considered in the decision that I make. I intend to bring that practice and those values to the bench March 20th, 2018. Vote Rhonda for judge. I'm the only Rhonda on the ballot.
Going back to county again. Ms. Carrie Steele for Metropolitan Water Reclamation Commission.
Thank you all. Good evening. Oh yeah, you're using my time, so I'm gonna get right to it. Good evening, everyone. As stated, my name is Carrie Steele, and I'm one of your commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. As stated earlier, we treat your wastewater and we manage flood control. We're a completely separate agency from the city of Chicago that's responsible for providing your drinking water and your water bill. My unique qualification on the 9-member board is that I'm a chemist and an environmentalist. I used to work at Water Reclamation in their laboratories. I worked for the water department in their laboratories as well. And I also, when I first ran for office, I was a formulating chemist for L'Oreal USA. I think it's important to point out my professional background because we need a chemist on the board at Water Reclamation. I think it's important for us to still have professional diversity at Water Reclamation. And what better than a chemist to help protect and preserve our primary water source, Lake Michigan. In addition, I'm also chair of the Budget and Employment Committee, the IT Committee, and the Monitoring and Research Committee. I'm also vice chairman of the Stormwater Management Committee, Real Estate and Development Committee, and the Finance Committee, and I also chair the MWRD Credit Union Board. I'm here today asking for you to not only support me, but to support the Democratic slated candidates for water reclamation, Carrie Steele, Marty Durkin, and Deborah Shore, and Kim Dubuque. We're endorsed by the Democratic Party, Chicago Federation of Labor, the Sierra Club, Citizens Action, and I'm also endorsed by the Black West Side elected officials and the South Side Democracy for America. But most importantly, I need the endorsement of all of you in this room. So I'm asking for your support today. I need your vote on March the 20th. Please visit my website, www.commissionercarriesteele.com, and I'm on every social media site you can imagine. Thank you, and remember my name, Carrie Steele. Thank you.
Please welcome Mr. Eric Nickerson, running for Cook County Commissioner.
Clerk Brown, Pastor, residents, let me take this. Residents, elected officials, good evening. It is a wonderful thing to see us all here. You saw what happened down in Alabama. We need to turn this around. My name is Eric Nickerson. I'm running for Cook County Commissioner of the 3rd District. The reason why is because I have 25 years with the state of Illinois. 4 years as mayor of the village of Dixon Rock. I'm a product of Chatham. I want to tell you that we have a lot of work to do. While on the campaign trail, it was very interesting because on the north side of Chicago, I saw a young mother pushing a stroller. And when I turned around and looked at her again, with her child in the stroller, she was smoking a crack pipe. Where is our village? The onus is on you as voters. We need to make that change. I am running as an independent, but I'm a Democrat. I want to make that change. I want to bring what I've learned over the 30 years to make that change for you. I want to be the People's Commissioner of the 3rd District. So my name is Eric Nickerson. You can check me out on ericnickerson.com. Join us. We have a grassroots campaign, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, running for Cook County Assessor, Mr. Fritz Kagan.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Pastor Moody, it's an honor to be here at the historic AME. Not only this church is historic, but the AME plays such an important part of American history. It's an honor to be here. I'm Fritz Kagi. I'm running for Cook County Assessor to make this crucial economic office, which is all about equity and fairness, to make it ethical, transparent, and fair. I live in Oak Park with my wife Rebecca and our 3 kids. We're members of the First United Methodist Church of Oak Park, but I'm a Chicago native. I was born on the south side of Michael Reese Hospital, and I grew up in Hyde Park. I'm a son of a teacher and an editor who was a Peace Corps volunteer and a volunteer in Martin Luther King's Poor People's Campaign. I went to Kenwood Academy, class of '89. We have any Broncos in here, Bronco parents? There we go, okay. My teachers at Kenwood inspired me to be interested in the rest of the world, and it launched me on my career as a financial analyst and portfolio manager. My career has been about valuing assets and about stewardship. Today, we have a property tax system that is unfair, and the assessor's office is all about the fairness of the system. It's not ethical, it's not transparent, it's not fair, and it's a basic social justice question because we have billions of dollars of benefits given to downtown corporate skyscraper owners like Donald Trump, and they are the clients of the donors to our current assessor's campaign. And guess who makes up the difference? Everyone in here does. It causes over-assessment all over the south side, causes people to be driven out of their homes, it causes businesses to fail, it causes vacancies, and it causes neighborhoods to lose people. How many of you see this in your everyday life? Well, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to put in a new model that will greatly reduce regressivity and will be much more fair and accurate. We're committed to transparency to tell for the first time how your assessments are calculated. And we're not taking donations from the property tax appeals industry. That's going to take the pay-to-play out of this office. We've been and because this is such an important social justice issue, we've been endorsed by 3 congressmen so far, including Danny Davis and Robin Kelly, we hope, and Bill Foster. We hope to have more, and great faith leaders all over the South and West Side. This election is about a choice to change a corrupt system. I ask for your support for Fritz Kagi in this election. We can advance social justice and ethical government, and at the same time deliver a great economic benefit to 5.2 million people. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going to bring Ms. Rose Joshua, who is the president of the Southside NAACP. I am actually a member of the Southside NAACP, and she's a phenomenal woman, a phenomenal leader. And she's going to bring some state representative candidates. Rose Joshua.
Good evening, everyone. Pastor Moody. Wow, it's been about 8 years since I've been in church. And I just wanted to say yes. Don't take my time now. Don't be stealing my time. But what I wanted to say, the last time I was here, Justice Cousins was here as the political action chair of the Chicago Southside NAACP. And he made his transition, I believe, about a couple of days ago. And so we wanted to take that moment in silence to do that. And, you know, I apologize for being late, but I forgot my NAACP memberships. They are back in the back to join us today. The next candidate for state representative is Tawana J. Robinson from the 27th district.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity, Clerk Brown, Pastor Moody. My name is Dr. Tawana Robinson. I am running for state representative in the 27th district. I have served my district for over 25 years as a teacher and a school administrator interchangeably at schools in my district. As a lifelong resident and educator, I see firsthand that the people in my community are victims of trauma due to gun violence, crime, a lack of resources, and a lack of funding for our public schools. It is imperative to understand that when we just complain, we add to the pain. Therefore, I am compelled to effect systemic change by tackling gun violence and crime with proactive measures like early childhood education and a quality public education in our neighborhood schools. I want to prevent dangerous cuts to our health care programs that target those with pre-existing conditions. I want to implement legislation that equals the playing field for those who are marginalized and fight for social justice and civil rights for my people. I want to thank Richard Barnett, who is my campaign manager, and I would like to ask you all, thank you, and I would like to ask you all to visit my website, www.tawanarobinson.com, to learn more about my platform. Thank you, and God bless you.
The next candidate is Delara Saeed, State Rep, the 5th District, Democrat.
Good evening. My name is Delara, and I am running for Illinois State Representative of the 5th District. I'm a product of Head Start Preschool for low-income children, the Chicago Public Schools, and this community. And I want to remind the guy in the White House who is telling us that our social services aren't needed, and the guy in the governor's mansion that is staying silent when hatred is spewed, that we do not need to be divided. We are together, and we will not allow you to take away our social services, take away the support for our children and our unions. I've been a teacher for 20 years and working in education. My family was able to build a life, so I paid forward by serving other students, making sure that in a district where there are 12 issues with rats at Mollison, school closings in Englewood, and with a mess at MTA, that we have teachers and educators that are helping us solve these issues at the district level and at the state level. I'm a proud mama of 3 children, but my son is Brown and his last name is Saeed. When he walks out of the house to spend some time with his friends and hang out, I say to him, Sajid, you gotta bring back my heart. You're taking it with you tonight, and I need it tomorrow morning. Illegal guns, violence, and trust with our law enforcement are issues we are struggling with. Let's send someone to the State House that is a progressive American Muslim woman with a hijab that loves education in our communities. Let's send that to show Trump and our governor what we can do together.
Okay, our next candidate is Adrian Irma. State Representative position, 25th District.
How are you? I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for organizing this. Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year for those of you I haven't seen since last year. My name is Adrian Irmer, and I'm running for state representative in the 25th District of Illinois for one very short but very complex reason, and that reason is disparity. The 25th District, the state of Illinois, the city of Chicago has a problem with disparity. Disparity in access to opportunity, disparity in access to resources, access to affordable mass transit, access to fully funded public education, access to clean air and clean water. I am going to Springfield. I am running for this seat because I am ready to fight against the policies of disparity and inequity that are hurting our communities every day. I know what disparity and inequity has done in our communities. I buried my cousin in 2010 because of community violence on the south side of Chicago. That day was transformative for me. I am ready to fight for communities who experience this trauma on a daily basis. I am ready to fight for the public schools that I am a proud product of here in the city of Chicago. Broncos in the house, okay? I am ready to fight for the families that are fighting for clean air in the 10th Ward. I am fighting for the union workers that have to spend 90 extra minutes a week in transit to get to good paying jobs in downtown Chicago and in suburban Illinois. I am ready to fight for my communities. My name is Adrian Irmer. I'm going all in for my community. I hope you go all in with me.
State Representative from the 6th District, Nicole Vaughn.
Comprises of 11 different wards. And I'm exhausted today because I've been at the Board of Elections all day fighting to stay on the ballot. And this is a shame that voter suppression is real. The machine is real. So I'm here before you guys asking for your support. If I'm kicked off the ballot, I will run as independent, write-in, whatever I got to do, because the people in my district deserve a person who's been on both sides. I believe that, I know that all of you guys have been affected by mass incarceration, if not directly, indirectly. I am the ex-offender who paid my debt to society, and I came back to my community to change my community, and we should have a voice, and I'm running for the most vulnerable population. I'm running for the ex-offender to have a second chance. I have a master's degree, came home and couldn't find a job. Something's wrong with that situation. I'm a homeowner in Inglewood. My taxes is more than taxes in Beverly. Something's wrong with that situation. If my taxes were not escrowed in my mortgage, I would be homeless. I have 2 kids that's a product of CPS Elementary School. They go to Lynn Bloom and one goes to Kershaw Magnet Oral School. And we have 4 schools in Inglewood that's closing. That's absolutely absurd. So gentrification is real. We're being pushed out of our community. And if I am here to fight and stand up for our community, and I ask that everyone in this room support. You know somebody in Wood, you know somebody in Bridgeport, you know somebody in the back of the yards, South Blue. Please help them join my campaign. My name is Nicole Vine, and I'm running for state rep in the 6th district.
Actually, we have something good to say, and that is that we have a lot of judicial candidates coming out today. That's a good thing, because we need to know them. So, but we're going to have to cut it down to 1 minute. However, that being said, we're going to be doing sub-circuit sessions too, that will give the judges a lot more time. So the next judge that we're asking for is Judge Robert Harris. He's the 5th.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here, Clerk Brown, to the NAACP, to the Women's Democratic Organization, and certainly to Pastor Moody, my friend and often my spiritual person. I welcome you folks here to what is considered the crucible of my life as service to my community. I was brought by my parents and by my grandparents here to be baptized in this wonderful historic church a long time ago. I am a judge. I was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court about 4 months ago, and I have been hearing cases in the downtown Daly Center, as well as prior to that, I was the Cook County Public Guardian. I was the first African-American Cook County Public Guardian appointed by the Chief Judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County, St. Evans. I consider my new transition into the judiciary as part of my service to my community, and I want to keep my seat. I am the appointed judge in that seat. There are people who are trying to get my job. However, I am there, and I'm doing a good job, and I want to continue to do that.
Another candidate for the 5th sub-circuit is Shay. I can't. Okay.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? Well, my name is St. Tyrone Allen. I'm running for judge in the 5th Judicial Self-Circuit. Yes, I wear a bow tie every day, and I am old enough to be an attorney. Don't worry. I've been an attorney for over 12 years. I have experience in 9 different areas. But that's not why I want your vote. I want your vote because we keep hearing a buzzword up here today, criminal justice reform. I'll tell you this much. If we had good judges who have guts, and we had good judges who wanted to do what was right, we wouldn't need criminal justice reform. I was born in Roseland, born and raised in Roseland. And I'm here today because I had a single mother and a praying grandmother, and I understand what goes on in these communities. I was in Aldale Gardens yesterday, I was in K-Town before that, and next week I'll be someplace different. I know what's happening in the streets now. I'm not afraid to call a police officer a liar, and I'm not afraid to do what's right. That's real reform. That's where it's going to come from. It's not going to come from any place else. So I'm going to ask for your vote on March 20th, a vote for Shay Tyrone Allen. Vote for Tyrone. It's an actual vote for real progress. Thank you.
Our next judicial candidate is from the 8th sub-circuit, Robin Schaffner.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Clerk Brown. Thank you, Pastor Moody. My name is Robin Schaffner, and I'm running for judge in the 8th Judicial Sub-Circuit. That is the position I was appointed to by the Illinois Supreme Court to serve as a judge, and that is the position I'm going to keep. I want to welcome you all to the 8th Judicial Subcircuit. It starts right outside the doors of this great church, Quinn Chapel, at 26th and Michigan, and runs all the way up the lakefront to Devon. I am seeking to become the first African-American judge elected to this position, and I need your support to make it happen. I was appointed judge in 2014 because of my record as a strong civil rights attorney, as an active member of my community, and as an active member of my profession. I'm a past board member and president of 2 bar associations of the city, and I am committed to my community, having served on many numerous neighborhood organizations and local school organizations. I'm captain of my daughter's debate high school, elementary debate team. Thank you. My platform simply is I'm a judge of integrity and compassion. With all due respect, brother, as a judge, your first obligation is to follow the law. And my job as a judge, and my heart, is to follow the law with compassion. I will be fair and honest to everyone. I will treat everyone with dignity and respect. And I will believe everyone deserves a second chance. Thank you so much. My name is Robin Schaffner. I'm running in the 8th Judicial Subcircuit. Thank you again.
I'm not good at holding mics. I don't want to tear it up either. Okay, our next candidate is running for Cook County Commissioner in the 3rd District, and I had his wife's name on here, but I see him. So maybe we should have Bill Lowry come up.
First of all, thank you for inviting me, and hello to everyone. I'm sorry I just got here. I was at an endorsement session, fingers crossed, in Quinn Chapel. I have a minute, so I'm going to say this. I am Bill Lowry. I'm running for Cook County Commissioner of the 3rd District. I am married to my wonderful wife, 27 years, because a happy wife is a happy life. We have 3 wonderful children, but this is why I'm running. For years, even out of law practice, I tried to give back. I tried to whisper in the ears of my friends who are in public office, but I'm sick of whispering. It's time for me to step up and try to do something to help. So when we talk jobs, yes, that's important, but not just on Michigan Avenue. What about Stony Island? What about job skills training? What about placement? What about our banks giving the same capacity on the south side that they do to a business on the north side? We talk about affordable health care. What about mental health care? Our jails are full of people that should not be in jail. They need mental health care. Our seniors need to have affordable health care. Our children and our Medicaid recipients. And while I support bail reform, I support electronic monitoring, I will submit legislation for fast-track litigation for all of the inmates in the jail who are in for nonviolent crimes. And lastly, for our returning citizens, we need real reentry programs. We need jobs, we need shelter for our returning citizens, and we need transportation. And if we don't, the 55% 3-year recidivism rate will continue. I'm Bill Lowry. Get you a Bill Lowry toothbrush. They're here. It's time to brush the you-know-what out of politics.
Who's running for Cook County Clerk. Stephanie. Good evening, everyone. Giving the honor to God, who's the head of my household. Pastor Moody, thank you. Honorable Clerk Brown, and my former mentor, Betty Magnus. I'm just excited to be here. Running for Cook County Clerk is new. We've had the same county clerk for several decades. So what I bring to you is have faith. Change is good. Change is good. The reason I'm running for Cook County Clerk is because I'm a mother of 4 children. I'm a fitness expert. I'm creator of Gospel Aerobics. You might have seen my TV show, Jordan Be Fit, Gospel Road Ministry. And I am an advocate of elections and voter registration.
I'm a product of Waukegan, Illinois, and I've lived in Oak Park and River Forest for the last 17 years. I've worked for the Cook County Clerk's Office in the Elections Department for 10 years, and I have one initiative that I'd like to bring forward. As you know, voting is important to us as a family, as a people, and being passionate of that, I would like us to continue that. However, my initiative is Genealogy Family First. What I'd like to do is take the genealogy vital records, which of course the clerk's office is the keeper of the vital records, and use those records to help our families in Cook County find each other. I believe love starts at the home base level, and if we can begin to develop family genealogy programs to help families find each other online, that would be a very positive thing in our communities. In addition to that, initiative at being accountable, being transparent, being able to communicate effectively. I'm an integrated marketing communications expert and consultant with a background from Northwestern, and I believe integration is important, social media and innovation. I ask for your support. My name is Stephanie Joy Jackson Rowe, and I'm running for Cook County Clerk. Thank you.
Steve Wolf. I told you all I'm not good with this holding the mic stuff. Steve Wolf is running for County Commissioner in the 3rd District. Mr. Wolf here.
Thank you. Good evening. I don't know how Eddie looks like Steve, but I am Steve Wolf. I'm a candidate for Cook County Commissioner in the 3rd District. I see that in the 3rd District, and really throughout the county, we have high taxes. We've got property values that are going down. And within the county, we have the highest population loss of any county in America. Over 21,000 net property loss in the last reporting period. And so what I'm suggesting is that until we can fix the property assessment system that's rigged against poor people, rigged against minorities, rigged against working families, that we freeze taxes. That's my suggestion. And instead of raising taxes, I'm working to create a more vibrant economic community, improve our safety in our neighborhoods, and make our communities healthy. I'm Steve Wolf. My background, I think, is what helps me do these things. I'm an engineer, and I'm also a financial professional. And so when I look at the challenges that the county board is faced with, many of them are financial in nature. In the past, we've had these high taxes, we've had this loss of population, we've had the sugar tax. In the future, that's going to continue. And so I believe that a background of engineering to bring efficiencies, a background of finance professional, in order to really balance budgets and serve people is what's going to be helpful. I'm asking for your support to vote for Wolf, Cook County Commissioner in the 3rd District. Thank you.
I want to remind you that we're doing 1 minute for the judges, and also remind you we'll be sending out information about the sub-circuit sessions. So the next candidate is a countywide candidate for Judge Keith Spence.
Good evening. Again, my name is Keith L. Spence, and I am running for a judge in a countywide. And Madam Clerk, it is a very large county. I am from the south side of Chicago, born and raised in West Fulton Roseland community. Went to Percy L. Julian High School where we played football when we were winning prep bowls and city championships back then. I've been practicing law for about 20 years, primarily in areas of criminal defense and family law. One of the main things that we must understand is that we need judges, and Brother Shay Allen talked about it. We need judges with guts who aren't afraid to make the right decisions. And we all must remember that every single person, every single black man that has been wrongfully convicted in this state, at one time stood before a judge to let it slide. I won't let it slide. Vote Spence for judge, March 20th, 2018. Thank you.
Next judicial candidate is Mr. William Laws, judge for the second subdistrict.
Good evening, one and all. My name is William Laws. That's L-A-W-S, the man with a cause. I've been an attorney for the past 37 years, married to Marjorie Laws. Marjorie Laws was the presiding judge in Markham for the past 8 years. We met on our first day of law school. We've been married for 39 years. We have 2 children. Both have gone to Chicago Public Schools, both are college graduates. While being an attorney for the past 37 years, I've represented people with white collars, blue collars, or no collars. And I understand and going into a courtroom, everyone should have an opportunity for treatment of justice and compassion. I believe in not only a person should be given an opportunity when they appear before the court to know that he's going to have justice as his birthright, but be treated with fairness and dignity. I also should say that I was trained by James Montgomery. James Montgomery was the first black corporation counsel in the city of Chicago. His partner was Ronnie Cochran. And once the two of them got together, I had an opportunity to take all of Jim's cases. I also might mention that I was one of the lawyers that went to Decatur, representing one of the Decatur Sevens as a volunteer attorney for Operation Push. I ask for your vote. When you think of a judge, think of Laws, L-A-W-S.
Our next judicial candidate is Anna you have to come here and say your name for me. Because I don't want to kill it.
Good evening, everyone. Joanna Salajano. I'm running countywide for the Flanagan vacancy, and I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. Why am I running for judge? 2 primary reasons. Number 1, I feel that I'm a little piece of every society, and number 2, when I look at my 3 young boys, and they ask me, "Can I, Mommy?" Yes, you can. I grew up in Romania. My father defected. After he defected, I was beaten in school until I stopped going to school. We got political asylum, and we lived in Detroit. We were on welfare. I wasn't going to school, and eventually we moved up. I want to do this because, not because I'm a victim, but because I want to show everybody that even the little people can do it, and the little people count, and everybody needs a voice. Joanna Salajano, March 20th. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Now we're going to do another statewide candidate, and as you all know, the rules included the statewide candidate would get 3 minutes, and then there will be 1 question from the audience, and then we have a U.S. Congressman represented here tonight. So we're going to call another candidate for Attorney General, former Governor Pat Quinn.
I thank Dorothy Brown and Pastor Moody and Democratic Women and the NAACP for hosting what a great show of grassroots democracy right here at Quinn Chapel. And I'm very partial to Quinn Chapel. It has a great history. I'm running for Attorney General because we need a strong Attorney General in our state to join with other Attorney Generals across the country to take on Trump in all the unconstitutional, hateful, racist, vile policies that he's visited upon our democracy. The Attorney Generals are the last line of defense against Trump and against Rauner when they break the law. We've got to take them to court and make sure they're brought to justice. And I think it's very important to have a strong voice from our state, someone who knows the whole state, and I do know the whole state, to make sure that we, the people, come first. And I think it's also important that the Attorney General be a lawyer for the people, someone who speaks for the everyday person who lives from paycheck to paycheck, who's working a job or trying to get a job, and who also has to pay very high utility bills. So I brought here today the very first envelope of the Citizen Utility Board, a group I helped start in 1983. 35 years ago, on the very day that Harold Washington was elected mayor, the Citizen Utility Board referendums passed. We, the people, banded together to take on Commonwealth Edison and People's Gas and AT&T, and we got to keep on doing it. And you need an Attorney General that will speak up for the consumer against these big companies. People's Gas is trying to double our gas rates right now. We can't allow that to happen. Now, in this race, there are 8 candidates. They're all fine people. I'm one of them. But I think it's important to understand that 3 of those candidates are taking big money from ComEd, from People's Gas, and from Exelon. Now, Aaron Goldstein, you're going to hear later, he doesn't take that money. But I don't take that money. But Kwame Raoul and Nancy Rotering and Jesse Ruiz are taking huge amounts of campaign money from the utilities. We can't stand for that. We've got to stand up for the consumer. That's where I'm coming from. And I heard earlier from our judges about how important it is to have criminal justice reform. When I was governor, I did nearly 5,000 clemencies, an all-time record of any governor in the history of Illinois. I did not go to Rauner's inauguration. I stayed back in my office till noon that day to give new clemencies for people who were wrongly convicted, including Tyrone Hood and Howard Morgan, who were in jail and they were wrongfully convicted. You need an Attorney General who understands criminal justice reform, someone who understands fighting against Trump and Rauner if they try and take away our health care. I signed the bill for the Affordable Care Act. Some people call it Obamacare. I say I do care. And you need an Attorney General who will fight very strongly for the Affordable Care Act every single day.
All right. One question from the audience for AG candidate Pat Quinn. One question from the audience here, right here, this gentleman.
He's running.
Are you running?
He's a candidate.
You got another candidate?
Yeah, it's Aaron Goldstein. He's coming next. Aaron Goldstein did not take any money from ComEd.
Oh. If you're AG, you're a statewide candidate?
Right up here.
Right on the stage here, please. You have the question?
Yes, ma'am.
Right here. Just one question.
My name is Tyrone Muhammad. I'm the co-campaign manager for the T.O. Harvey. I did 20 years in prison. So reform is important. I wouldn't be standing here if I hadn't had self-reformation. So my question to you is, recently on 119th in, that's right on Marshfield, we have Arabs in our community that's cheating our women out of product. This particular store is called Boost Mobile. We organized to bring attention to that. They're taking the iPhone, selling it to our women, taking the headphones out of there, and then reselling them the headphones. We've been staging and we called the news media, we did all of that, Attorney General. This is what has to happen throughout the community. Boost Mobiles are popping up like crack houses. These institutions, or like a person like me coming out of prison, and those brothers on the corners who y'all talk about that don't have jobs, why don't Boost Mobile, Subways, Dunkin' Donuts allow men like us, entrepreneurs, to then be funded the money to open up in our community? That needs to be addressed, and I think that's going to be an issue for this campaign coming up.
The best way to fight crime, the best way to keep families together is a JOB. When I was governor, we started Put Illinois to Work, which was a program that put 35,000 people to work. above the minimum wage, including returning citizens. It's very important to always fight for consumers. If there's some outfit out there that's trying to take advantage of ordinary, everyday people in the marketplace, that's what the Attorney General's got to do. They got to take on the banks, the currency exchanges, the utility companies, the insurance companies, and that mobile, whatever they are, to make sure that we fight hard for people who are trying to get by. And that's where I'm coming from. If you want somebody who's a shrinking violet as Attorney General, don't vote for me. I'm going to fight hard for you. Thank you.
All right. We have another Attorney General candidate, Mr. Aaron Goldstein.
How y'all doing? Where my PDs at? Don't be ashamed. Come on. Come on. My name's Aaron Goldstein. I'm running for Attorney General. I'm also a public defender. You have a lot of... Oh, got to get in the shot. How do I look? Do we look good? You have a lot of public defenders in this room right now. A lot of them are running for judge. I'm running for Attorney General. Why do you want a public defender as Attorney General? Because every single day I stand next to people who are poor, who don't have resources, who don't have people for them. Every single day, that's who I stand next to, and that's who a lot of the public defenders out here stand next to, and that's why you need to elect them as judge. But that's a different issue. They'll talk to you about that later. Governor Quinn talked about who are you going to be for? Are you going to be for the people, or are you going to be for the big corporations? He missed some corporations that are donating to some of our opponents. You got the big utilities, People's Gas and ComEd and Exelon. How about the tobacco companies? How about the tobacco? $100,000 going to one of our opponents from the tobacco companies. Now, who are you for? Because when you're Attorney General, you got two choices. You could be for the people, or you could be for the big powers. When you take $100,000 from the tobacco companies, who are you for? Yeah, give him the mic. When you are taking money from big corporations and then you have to represent the people, who are you for? You are for them. I am for the people. So what do we need to do as Attorney Generals? Three very important points. We need to stand up to the big powers. Who is that? The big banks, the big corporations, and that guy in the White House. We need to fight him every single day. We need real criminal justice reform. I've been working in the criminal justice system for 17 years, and I've seen it every single day. I represented individuals who were murdered by the police. I've seen people and represented individuals who were harassed and brutalized by the police. I understand it. So what do we need? We need to end mass incarceration. We need to end this racist drug war. We need to end cash bail. No one should be sitting in jail because they can't post $100. We need to have real police accountability where the community is involved, where you can come into court and enforce a consent decree against the Chicago Police Department. And finally, we need to fight corruption. Finally, we need to stand up to the corrupt... You said it. You said it. So, who's the current Attorney General? We're not running against Lisa Madigan, but she has the same name as the gentleman you just mentioned. Someone like me is going to come up in the Attorney General's office and fight corruption. And that's what I'll be. AG for AG.org. You like that?
AG for AG.
It's not laws with a cause, but it's AG for AG.
All right, so one question for Mr. Goldstein from the audience. Anyone?
I can ask myself.
Okay. This gentleman has a question for you too. Why don't we go with you? Right here. We'll let him have it.
I think I know your question.
You do? Mass incarceration. We know prisons are necessary. What I'm interested in is for instance, the level of, hopefully when T.O. Hardeman wins governor, I'll be the prison drop. So, but anyway, the education, the funding for the educational programs. It's like they don't care about any education. We eliminate Pell Grants for guys that you ultimately release back into society. So education has been proven to work for the long-term prisoners. So my question is, what's available for guys? You say mass incarceration. I found that education is a good thing. When I first arrived in prison, I earned 2 associate's degrees. I earned a cosmetology, a horticulture certification, a custodial maintenance certification,
All
an
right,
associate's in substance abuse counseling.
What's the question, sir?
I'm about to
Let's get to it. We're going to put a time on the question.
There's no education. We need education reform in the prison. How?
I can give you an answer you all will love. I agree.
All right, so we're going to bring the U.S. Congressman Danny K. Davis's representative, Ms. Sharita Logan.
All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening to the pastor, Pastor Moody. Hey, kids, the Honorable Evangelist Joyce Brown, the rest of the women and men up on the diocese, and to you. The congressman could not be here in person, but his heart is here. He's in Washington, D.C. Hopefully they'll finalize the budget so that the government can begin to interact again. There are a couple of things that we want to get out. First of all, we want to thank everybody who is putting themselves on the line to run for public office, because it's not an easy proposition. Secondly, the congressman is running for re-election and would like your support. And why? Here's what we're doing. Our office is located at 2813 West 5th Avenue, right on California Madison, on purpose. We could have been downtown, comfortable in the Dirksen building, where you would have had to have ID, pay for parking, catch a bus, get searched, and if you couldn't do those things, you wouldn't get to see us. But he's in the neighborhood where Mr. and Mrs. Jones and all of you all have access. That's number one. So we're there on purpose to help serve you all. And we've been doing it really, really well. We're going into Black history. And when we think about the congressman, we think about Dr. King and being a drum major and the prerequisite that King set to be a drum major. He talked about, he said, don't talk about my degrees. You don't hear the congressman talking about his degrees, and he is degreed. But when it says, look to see what I'm doing, talk about, I tried to clothe the naked, and we brought millions of dollars down for the homeless organizations who are helping people every day. Then it says, look to see if I've been to the prisons. Well, we take a group of children every year to the prisons to visit their dads for Father's Day on our Family Reconnection program. I heard somebody talk about Second Chance. Right now, over 600 organizations nationwide are getting funded through the Second Chance Act. And I don't know anybody that doesn't think that you can't mention Second Chance without thinking about Congressman Danny Kenyatta Davis. We wrote it. My time is up. And health care, I heard somebody say affordable health care. The congressman helped write the affordable health care, helped re-elect the congressman, and we have a piece of legislation he just introduced right now, so that if you don't have a cash to pay a bond, that you will not have to stay incarcerated. Thank you very much for your support.
First one is Willie Preston. Timekeeper, one. How are you?
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. So I can talk to you all about my plan for the 31st District in Illinois. I can tell you I want a business incubator center because I want to see black business again thriving. I can talk to you about an elected school board that my opponent voted to give over to Chicago's mayor, which is now in control of closing our schools. I can talk about returning our trade schools so we can put people back to work. But what I'm going to talk to you about is Big Man and Keisha. My grandfather was Big Man, came from Mississippi. He didn't have a bunch of education, but he was able to come to this town, have a good job, and take care of family and send them around the corner to school. I'm fighting for the big man of 2018, a young man who was out of job, out of work, and out of hope, and out of excuses. It's time for a new breed of leadership. I'm not running for office. I'm fighting to get to Springfield, and Mike Madigan must go because he's an enemy of our community, and whoever steps up and doesn't say his name is not fit to run today. It's time for a new breed of leadership. We're fighting to get to Springfield and go fight when we get there.
All right, Willie. All right, Willie.
Okay, our next representative, Ken Duncan.
Yes.
Good.
Well said, Willie Preston. My name is Ken Duncan. I served in the House of Representatives for about 15 years. I'm born and raised out of Cabrini Green, Lincoln Park High School, Harold Washington College, Morehouse College, University of Chicago, live right here in Bronzeville. I'm no stranger to a fight or to serving. But let me tell you what the facts are in this state. You have the Democratic Party that simply takes for granted people that look like most of us here in this room. And the big elephant in the Democratic Party, who is an old school gangster, who's been around for 50 years, Mike Madigan. He has challenged most of your petitions. If you want to become a judge, you have to pay at least $30,000. He even went against Dorothy Brown. She still prevailed. So if you want someone who is going to go to Springfield, someone who will go to Springfield and fight Mike Madigan and all of his minions, Ken Duncan is your man. So let me say this here. I respect you, brother. Listen, it's not by accident that the west side, the south side, the western suburbs, and the south suburbs look abysmally poor or neglected. Why isn't there level 1 trauma center in the south suburbs? Why are the property taxes so out of this world? We introduced most of that legislation in Springfield, and guess who holds it up? Mike Madigan. If he and his boys can't get paid, it ain't moving. Look at who the top paid lobbyists are in Springfield. They don't look like most of us in this room. It's time for us to take back our state, and it starts in Springfield and getting rid of Michael J. Madigan. I'm Ken Duncan, and I approve this message. Oh, that's a Mike Madigan stooge right there. He's a perfect Mike Madigan.
Excuse me, Ken. You had your time. Okay. We're trying to be fair to everybody. Fred, you have to stop talking. Okay. I'm trying to be polite. I'm sorry. The next candidate is Eddie Johnson, who is running for Cook County Commissioner in the 2nd Democratic District. Eddie.
Good evening. I'm not going to keep you long. To the pastor of the house, I bring you greetings. For Antioch Missionary Baptist Church, I'm the Community Outreach Director, and I'm the Executive Director of Antioch Community Social Service. Like Sister Nicole said, my district, the 2nd District, had the biggest loss in the entire Cook County. People is moving out. They're closing 4 schools down. 3 elected officials in the last 3 years have passed. An alderman, a state rep, and a county commissioner. The Lord is trying to tell us something. We have an opportunity every 4 years to make change. This is our opportunity. I want to be a voice for the people in the 2nd District, but most important, I want to have the opportunity to lead, not to follow. These are other things we like to say. God bless you, and everybody, let's vote March 20th.
Next, we have a candidate for sheriff, Mr. John Fairman.
Good evening, everybody. Let me speak from my heart. My name is John Fairman. I am the grandson of a Southern Baptist minister from Cleveland, Mississippi. I'm the godchild of the Honorable Dick Gregory, my alpha brother, who when I was at Howard University inspired me to go to law school at Thurgood Marshall School of Law. The Cook County Sheriff's Office, something that everybody's spoken about in regards to reform. Most people don't realize this is 7,000 employees, $450 million budget, $100 million in contracts. The subcontract on commissary alone is $26 million. The toilet paper contract is alleged to be $1 million. This is a position that's been held in Mount Greenwood for over 40 plus years. 1 out of every 6 people who lives in Mount Greenwood is alleged to work for the sheriff's office. The impact that this has, if you can imagine just taking a portion of this contract and taking 51% and placing it and forcing them to have a presence within the minority community. If you can imagine the folks who are sitting over in incarceration, there's still 6,000 employees. You can't ask these young men, these women who are coming out to be a part of their family if they can't provide for it. Imagine taking some of that money and putting it to allowing them to be electricians, plumbers, carpenters. In regards to qualifications, there are about 95,000 attorneys in this state, many who are here. I regulate every single attorney in this state. For many years, I'm 1 in 9. For many years, I was the only minority. You talk about the in-court bar program that provides attorneys for folks who cannot afford an attorney or who didn't bring an attorney. I created that. 10 years ago, it was Judge Evans who asked me to redesign it for the entire state approximately 10 years ago. I'm the past president from the Cook County Bar Association, the Black Prosecutors Association. I'm qualified for this position, but this position matters. In regards to something that impacts us, this impacts us more than anything in here. When you sit there and talk about the impact of putting this money over to the community, providing what our folks sitting there coming out, I'm asking for your help, I'm asking for your support, and I'm looking forward to, when we come back to the end of this election, to looking at everybody in here and saying, there's a new sheriff in town. Thank you.
Okay, let me just say this. When you're speaking, if you walk to this side of the room or that side of the room, you're no longer on camera. The next candidate is Reverend Donald Rose, speaking on behalf of Committeeman Kevin Bailey. Reverend Rose here? Okay, he's not here. Maria Barlow, who is running for Cook County Commissioner in the 4th District. Maria? Round of applause. Let's applaud every candidate, okay?
So good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Barlow. I am a candidate for Cook County Commissioner. I thank the pastor for having me. I thank you, Clerk Brown, Honorable Clerk Brown, excuse me. I am running because we need economic development in Cook County. We are being overtaxed, and we are paying higher taxes for less services. It is a shame. We need to bring our businesses back to Cook County. We need to make it so that we can walk down the street and shop in our neighborhoods. We don't have to go to another county to shop. Let me tell you about the incumbent that I'm running against. Don't let him fool you, okay? He sponsored the sugar tax. He then repealed it. It's the 4th district. Nobody knows who he is. It's the 4th district. He sponsored the sugar tax. That means it was his idea. Don't let him come up and tell you he repealed it. It was his idea. Take credit for your idea. We are still losing money today because of the Cook County sugar tax. Because people decided they're going to shop in different counties. They're going to shop in Indiana, and they're going to shop everywhere from Cook County. I am a visionary. My job, I am an attorney. So my job is to think and plan ahead. And that's what I plan to do as Cook County Commissioner. I plan to think and plan ahead to make it so that there are more businesses in Cook County so we don't have to leave. Let's work on the mental health because we do have mentally ill people in Cook County. Let's work on general health for people so they can go in their neighborhood and get health care in their neighborhood. Let's bring jobs back. Trust me, I am a fighter. Maria Barlow, #1 on the ballot.
Mr. Martin Durkin, running for Metropolitan Water Reclamation.
Good evening, everybody. Pastor Moody, appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight. And Doherty was supposed to be Doherty someone else. I know it's Doherty Brown. I know what I'm talking to, but I just wanted to mention her name earlier. I just want to be very brief because you've had a lot of people spoke here tonight. I was a little late getting here. Some of my colleagues were here earlier speaking on my behalf. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. I brought my daughter down to Champaign today to look at the University of Illinois. We shot back here as quickly as we could to try to make sure I had this opportunity to speak to you. I'm running for the Water Reclamation District of Chicago, and I'm running for a 6-year term. I ran in the last election and the 2-year special election and was lucky enough to have a lot of support in your neighborhood. I'm here tonight again to ask for your support in the future. Water Reclamation District is one of those down-ticket positions that a lot of people seem to forget about. It's extremely important. All the topics we're talking about here this evening are obviously incredibly important, but don't forget the people at the bottom of water. Water Reclamation District, we treat your water, we try to make sure our lakes and rivers are clean, and we also try to deal with flooding mitigation, which is a huge problem for the south side. We have a lot of projects that we're working on currently, and I want to make sure that those resources continue to go towards those projects. So once again, my name is Martin J. Durkin. I'm running for the 6-year term of Water Reclamation District. And again, I apologize for getting here a little late this evening, but thank you so much for affording me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one more Cook County candidate. And I need to know, are there any other Cook County candidates? What Cook County candidates are still in the room that haven't been heard? Okay, so the next candidate to come up will be Sharice Williams. She's running for Cook County Commissioner, and I just want to say on behalf of Dorothy Brown and all of the other ladies sitting up here, thank you guys so much for sitting through this. We still have some judges, and we'd like to ask you to be sure and stay to hear them because it's so important that you hear the candidates that are running for office. Is Sharice here? There she is. Hey.
Good evening, everyone. I want to first just thank the organizers for doing this. Pastor Moody, thank you again, and thank you for everyone for staying there for the long run. My name is Sharice Williams. I am running for Cook County Commissioner for the 3rd District. That seat is currently occupied by Jerry Butler, and he's retiring. There has never been a woman in this seat, so I'm hoping that y'all will help me make a little black history and vote the first woman in the seat ever. So thank you for that already. I'm running because there needs to be a change in leadership. Too many of our elected officials are for the current, 1 minute, already? Too many of our elected officials are beholden to people who are not for the community. That needs to change. I'm the only independent voice. I am a new candidate. I'm from the community. I'm born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I have a 16-year-old son who half the time I love and the other time I want to strangle him. But he's the reason why I'm here. I want to make sure that my son is able to walk down the street without getting shot. I want to make sure that me and my son have the public health care that we deserve. And I want to make sure that my taxes don't keep hurting my back every time I walk out the house. My paycheck is getting smaller and the taxes are getting bigger. And I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen for our community anymore. We need real leaders who have a voice, who will be from the people and for the people. I'm the only one on the ballot that is that person, and I hope to earn your vote on March 20th. Thank you.
I'm going to hurry this up by asking these 3 people to come up and be ready to speak. Mabel Taylor, Lori Ann Roper, and Myron Mackoff. Would you please come up here and have a seat so you can do, popcorn. Mabel Taylor.
Good evening. I would like to thank Dorothy Brown for having this candidate forum, and thank you, Pastor Moody, for allowing us to be here. My name is Mabel Taylor. Okay, my name is Mabel Taylor. My slogan is Tailor Made for Justice. I'm a lifelong resident of the west side of Chicago. I understand what goes on in this community. I'm bringing 25 years of legal practice, not only in Cook County, but all over the state. I understand what our young black men face when they go before the criminal justice system, because I am a criminal defense attorney. And as an attorney, I understand, and I promise that when young black men appear in my courtroom, I will make sure I use my life experiences, because I understand that the stories some of the police officers tell are not credible. We have to hold them accountable for what they're saying, and we have to be able to listen and rule if we find that there's problems in their testimony. My name is Mabel Taylor. I'm asking you for your support. Tailor Made for Justice. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lorianne Roper, and I'm running countywide for judge. I want to let you know that I don't just have a platform, I have a passion. I have a passion to help our people. I'm currently sitting on the board with the Cook County Justice and Mental Health Collaborative. I deal with mentally ill people almost every day. I supervise attorneys that deal with our mentally ill, our drug addicted, our veterans who find themselves in trouble. We deal with prostitution diversion, and I am in charge of the Restorative Justice Court in North Lawndale. We need to give our people a second chance, and I'm here to give our people a second chance. We have a lot to do, but one thing you must do is we have to reclaim our youth, we have to rehab them, and we have to restore them. So you have to put Roper on that bench.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Clerk Brown and NAACP and Democratic Women and Pastor. My name is Judge Myron Makoff. I'm running in the 8th Sub-Circuit. You saw Judge Robin Schaffner. I just want to tell you I'm not running against Robin. We are running to keep our own seats. We are slate mates endorsed by the Democratic Party. You had a number of gentlemen up here talking about guts. I am currently assigned to divorce court. If you don't think that takes guts, come to my courtroom. And if you come to my courtroom, you will see compassionate justice handed out. I listen to every case. I hear people. Experience matters. I was appointed in 2016 by Honorable Justice Charles Freeman of the Illinois Supreme Court. There are now 30 of my judicial brothers and sisters who are running to keep their jobs in this election, and I want you to take into account the experience that each and every one of them has. Experience matters. I use this example. If you go into a doctor and he's going to do surgery, who do you want doing your surgery? The guy who's done it dozens and hundreds of times, or the guy who really, really wants to be a doctor? We are the sitting judges, and we have the experience. We know what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I'm going to call these 5 judicial candidates to come up and sit down, and then Betty's going to call them. So I need Judge Marion Perkins, 5th Sub-Circuit, Judge Latricia Payne, 1st Sub-Circuit, Linda Perez, 6th Sub-Circuit, and Devon Anderson. Have a seat, please. Thank you. Oh. Oh, Gwen Anderson. Okay. Have a seat.
We don't ever want to leave anyone out, and this is the last Cook County candidate that is running, Mr. George Blakemore. I did not have his name, but we knew he was in the audience. He let us know. He is running in the 3rd District, Commissioner District as Republican. George.
Citizens of our global city and our global county. The big picture of the big elephant in the room is still racism. Sanctuary. What is legal? If you look at the definition of legal, it means within the law. Illegal is against the law. How many of you are familiar with Claude Anderson? In his book, he stated the negative effect that illegal immigrants have on the black community. We are legal citizens of this county, of this city, of this state, and of this nation. When you have another illegal group coming in to compete for good jobs, contracts, and services that the blacks are entitled to. Racism is still alive, and the song goes, we shall overcome one day. Not we have overcome. And silence is betrayal. Black leadership refused to mention a sanctuary. Our people need sanctuary when it comes to jobs, goods, and services. We have a racist union when it comes to these jobs. We have a racist system here, an evil system. And I wonder why it's black leadership. Is George Blakemore got all the sense? Nobody else has tackled this problem. You cut it off of sanctuary, illegals coming in. This is no longer bronze people. This is no longer bronze. Time is not up. We got to stop this bleeding. We got to stop playing these games with our people. We got to stop it. Stop it, black people. You belong here. You're entitled to these jobs, goods, and services.
All right,
stop it. Stop it.
If you're a judicial candidate, so Adrian Davis, we don't have your name if you want to. You're here, she said you called her name. She didn't call it, just came up. Do we have any other judicial candidates that we have not called? Any judicial candidate, just come and have a seat, please. And we have not called your name. Right up here on the stage, please. All right, so we want to listen very closely to these judicial candidates because they affect our lives. Thank you all for your patience. We really appreciate your being here.
So now we're ready for the judicial candidates. And remember, you'll see a judge before you see anybody. So they are very, very important. So please listen, before you see the president and all the other people also. So please listen to these candidates so we know who we're voting for.
Just let them come up.
Yeah, just come up.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Rose Joshua, President of the Southside NAACP. I am Judge Marion Emily Perkins. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago. I graduated from Holy Angels when Father Clemens was there. I graduated from Lindblom High School and Howard, shout out for Lindblom, that's right, swoop, swoop, swoop. Howard University and Howard University Law School. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to be a judge for the same reason that I wanted to be a lawyer. And for the entire time I have given to our community and to our people. My very first job as a lawyer, my very first job, and I know I have 30 seconds, was representing
indigent criminal defendants on appeal. I had the tedious job of reading the big record, looking for errors that were committed. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you this. As a young lawyer, I teared up. Why did I tear up? Every single one of my clients was a young African-American male who had been convicted of a major felony, and I must say that I did get a conviction overturned for one of the young men, and I visited so many of the prisons. So you want someone with my experience and love for our people. Judge Marion Emily Perkins in the 5th Sub-Circuit. Thank you for your vote and comment.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Latricia Payne, and I am a judge. I was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court to the 1st Judicial Sub-Circuit. It is the south. Yes. It's the southeast side of Chicago into the southern suburbs. What you need to know about me is that I am a wife, I am a mother, I was a public servant, I was a Will County public defender for nearly 18 years. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago where I currently reside. I was appointed to a position that represents the south side of Chicago because that's where I want to continue to serve. I've worked with mentally ill criminal defendants. I have been a leader, the first president of our Black Bar Association of Will County, and I have been a team player, a member of the Will County Mental Health Court team. I have been a judge for over a year now. My campaign slogan is no pain, no gain, because with me, you gain a judge who is genuine, grounded, and experienced, and you gain a judge who will continue to learn and grow in the position so that I could better serve the citizens of Cook County. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Judge Adrienne Davis. I am your judge at the courthouse at 111th Street. What's important about that? That's the neighborhood I grew up in. I'm a proud product of 60628. I remember when Corliss High School was brand spanking new. I didn't go to Corliss. I'm a proud product of Whitney Young High School. I was a Cook County public defender for 23 years, the last 8 years in the Homicide Task Force, representing our community. And I take all of that with me to the bench, but also I take years of tutoring African-American lawyers in MLER. Who up here did I tutor? Thank you. And a few more took the program when I was running it, coordinating it, or teaching the other tutors. But let me tell you about being your judge at 111th Street. Let me tell you about when I had a case of a young man who the police stopped and they told him, come back, and he walked away. If you know the law, and all the lawyers and judges up here do know, you can walk away. But the police called him back, and they arrested him. And he kept saying, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And they arrested him for resisting arrest. Let me tell you, the standard is pretty low for resisting arrest. You can pretty much flinch, and according to the law, but if you have a discerning judge, they can look and say, that's not enough. And that's what I did, even with the video. That's not enough. I am your judge. I am the judge appointed to the vacancy of Marjorie Laws. I am Judge Adrienne Davis, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you, Judge. We're going to pause for one moment and bring our final statewide candidate, who we really appreciate those that have come out. I know when you're running statewide, you have to be all over the state. So we're going to bring a candidate for governor, Mr. T.O. Hardeman, and the rules are we will give you 3 minutes, and there will be 1 question from the audience.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. T.O. Hardeman. I'm running for governor. This is my second run for governor. For those who don't know, I ran for governor in 2014 and secured close to 30% of the state vote, which then we won 30 counties downstate, which means in a crowded race right here in 2018, 30% of the state vote, I can win the Democratic primary, and it doesn't matter who I'm running against, okay? The bottom line is these billionaires come to our community, they cannot identify what's going on 79th and Cottage Grove. They cannot identify with what's going on Madison and Pulaski. Everybody wants our vote. Our disunity is killing us. Our conditions remain the same no matter who we vote for in that governor's office. I'm just asking everybody to think out of the box and try to help me become the first black governor of the state of Illinois. Not just because I'm black, because I'm qualified. My running mate, her name is Patricia Avery. We have a 2020 plan which represents a perfect vision to move the state of Illinois forward. I'm running to represent the ex-offenders, the children, the college students, the veterans, the senior citizens, everybody in the state, the disabled community, the tip workers, the minimum wage workers. We support the progressive tax, but it's going to take a constitutional amendment to make that a reality in Illinois. We support House Bill 453, which is the financial transaction tax, which can bring in another $3 billion here in Illinois. When I become your governor, I plan to commute the sentences of people that have been locked up for marijuana crimes. We're going to get them brothers and sisters out of jail. We also plan to reduce recidivism by converting some of them minimum level penitentiaries into institutions of higher learning, so we can reduce recidivism in Illinois. The state is hurting right now. We need proven leadership. Along with my running mate, we have 30 years of combined leadership. I have people supporting me all the way in Southern Illinois, Central Illinois, Lake County, all through Cook County. But I need to get we're trying to go out there and secure 300,000 votes to win this primary. The billionaires continue to drown out the voices of the working class and poor people. Right now in the African American community, the unemployment rate is 14.2%, the highest in the nation. And when you go to communities like Inglewood, West Garfield, Decatur, East St. Louis, and Peoria, the unemployment rate is 43% for African American young men between the ages of 20 and 24. Now, this has been under all the failed leadership that we've been supporting throughout this entire process. But I want to take a moment to thank Dorothy Brown and the pastor here at Quinn Chapel. You probably never heard a brother talk like this that's running for governor, but I'm a different type of candidate. Okay? I'm the guy that will speak truth to power. I'm not caught up in those nice slogans and all that stuff. I would like for us to unify around my campaign. Tell your mother, your grandmother, your cousins, your grandfather, your extended family members, I'm also the hip-hop governor. For all the young people, I need your support as well. If we can get past our isms and schisms that we have with each other, T.O. Hardeman can make history and become your governor, okay? Our campaign is powered by the people. We represent a new way forward, and they want me to stop now. And I believe I have one question, right? All right, thank you, babe.
Thank you. Let's give Mr. Hardeman a hand.
All right.
Okay, one question from the audience for Mr. T.O. Hardeman. Anyone? Right here, this young lady. Here's my dear.
Yes, I have a question, and it's kind of two-sided. I heard you before, and there's been a lot of talk about in the construction industry. Somehow we seem to think that the unions are our enemy. I mean, if the state is non-union or whatever, but if we start focusing on the unions are our enemy and start focusing on the owners and the contractors, and the thing with Ron, we always hear, fire Ron. You know, Ron does not come into our community and say, you know, hire this white GC and then tell them not to hire any blacks. So the thing about that is, if we don't start getting on the developers, the owners, and the general contractors, we as blacks are really going to perish. I mean, there are over 68 cranes right now in just the metropolitan Chicago area. And the only thing that we could say is fire Ron, Bruce Riley, this is that. None of our black elected officials are doing what they're supposed to do.
I got a question about the construction and everything. Well, the bottom line, our main enemy is lack of unity. We got gatekeepers in the black community that hold back the masses of the people. We got to call the gatekeepers out. That's the reason why African American contractors do not receive their fair share of contracts. That's why the state desperately needs T.O. Hardeman right now, because I'm a pure champion for the people. And I want to say this before I get out of here. The only way you're going to stop the killings in Chicago, I don't care what program you have or what's going on, black men must unify to stop the killing in their community. And once we unify, then we reduce the killing, the gun violence, then we can go to the next level with all the different programs. But the reason we're not getting our contracts, because a few people go through the door and they sell our people out and they get 2 or 3% and our people don't get anything. Our lack of unity is killing us right now. We need economic development. We need to come together as a people once again. My run for governor is a wake-up call for the entire nation. For the entire nation, not just black people, white people, working class and poor people, everybody. Thank you all very much.
Bear with us just a few more minutes. We're coming to the close. I'm going to ask each of the judicial candidates to come up, introduce themselves, and speak for a moment. Thank you.
I know it's late in the night. My name is Gwen Anderson. I have practiced law for more than 40 years. I started out as an assistant public defender, and that's when I learned how to fight. And I've been fighting ever since. I fight currently in the federal district courts. I practice in New York City and New Jersey. I practice in the 6th Circuit in Ohio. My practice now is to fight corporations. My case is mainly a Title VII. If you lose your job, you come to me and I fight large corporations. I'm currently fighting Extra Space Storage for firing one of my clients who had worked for 15 years, and I'm giving them a run for their money. We are in settlement negotiations. What I'm trying to say to you is that I started out as a criminal defense lawyer. I elevated myself to the area of fighting for the civil rights of individuals, including the rights of people that what excessive force is used in the city of Chicago. I've also spent 25 years of my life working pro bono. I worked at Visitation Catholic Church in Inglewood for 25 years, serving that community as a free lawyer. Again, my name is Gwen Anderson. I'm running for judge in the 5th Sub-Circuit. Vote for me. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Linda Perez, and I'm a Cook County Public Defender. I've been with the Public Defender's Office for 15 years. I've worked with both the civil and criminal divisions. I'm running in the 6th Judicial Sub-Circuit. For those of you who don't know what the sub-circuits are, the sub-circuits were created to increase diversity within the Cook County Judiciary. The 6th Judicial Sub-Circuit is the only sub-circuit that was created to produce Latino judges. I am of Mexican-American descent. I am a 3rd-generation Chicagoan. I'm a graduate of Chicago Public Schools. I'm a union steward. I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud to say that I've been a lifelong public defender fighting for the constitutional rights of everyone. I am very concerned that the faces that are predominantly within the jails and the prison systems in Illinois are black and brown faces. I think it's important that the judiciary reflect the communities that they represent. I have a brown face, and I want the brown faces that stand before me, the black faces and the white faces, to know that they will get a fair shake when they come into my courtroom. Thank you for your support.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us here today. They always say they save the best for last, so my colleagues and I are clearly holding up the bunch because we're the last ones here and we appreciate your time. My name is Erica Orr, and I'm running for the judge in the 1st Judicial Sub-Circuit. I have been practicing law for 20 years now. I'm a solo practitioner. I have my own practice where I focus on family law, but I have a global experience because I started off my career as an international tax attorney, where I was international tax counsel for Aon Corporation. So I understand domestic violence as a family law attorney. I understand families and the issues related to children being taken away from their parents and the need for child support, but I also understand the corporate dynamics, and I know my way around a financial statement, which is very important for a judge to know. I'm asking for your vote today because we need people on the bench who listen. People want to feel heard when they come to court. That is a part of giving justice. I'm an interpreter of the law when I get on the bench, but I can only interpret the facts that are put before me, and I can only do that if I listen, and that's a skill set that I've been granted. So I ask for your vote so that you can make sure that you have an individual who's on the bench who is balanced, fair, and firm. Vote Erica Orr on the 20th. Thank you.
Good evening. As my colleague said, we are the best because we're the last. My name is Cherie D. Henry, and I am a public defender. My commitment to the public began at age 16 when I became a Chicago Police Explorer. From there, I went to the Illinois Army National Guard. I was raised by a single mother. She couldn't afford to send me to college, so I joined the Illinois Army National Guard, and I was in college, undergrad, and law school at the same time. While I was in the service. Once I graduated, I went to a civil rights firm. I worked to help people either get their job or their money. But my heart was with families, so I became a Cook County Public Guardian. For 3 years, I represented 3,000 kids, helping them decide return home, adoption. After that, I became a Cook County Public Defender. I handle felony cases, and I currently do all the specialty courts. I help people with drug addiction, mental health, and veterans develop sobriety, life coping skills, and health maintenance. And I want to share something. It's so important that we have specialty courts. Today I lost a client through drug addiction. We worked with her for 2 years. We need more services. And as a judge, I'll be up there fighting for her every day. I'm asking you to vote Cherie D. Henry. When you hear Henry, honesty and fairness for all. Thank you.
Well, good evening. I am actually the last. My name is David Kelly, and I am running for judge in the 5th Judicial Subcircuit. And that includes the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, the 8th, and we go to the 11th, the 15th, 16th, 17th, and over to the 20th Ward. Tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up in Inglewood, and there I witnessed as a young person guns and gangs and crime literally damage and run people out of a community. When I think of the young men to my neighbors to the left and to the right of me, most of them are dead or in jail. But for the grace of God, I stand before you here today. One of the things that I'm most passionate about in my practice of law is I've been practicing 17 years. I first started off as a Cook County State's Attorney, and then here recently in the last 11 years, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. One of the things that I do is I represent young men. And what I tell them in those courtrooms each and every day is it is important, very, very important, that I represent them to the fullest extent of the law. And what I mean by that is if I can't get them acquitted in those courtrooms, then my goal is to get them an offer or an agreement where they can move forward with their lives. Because we all know here in this room tonight that when you get those felonies on your backs, you're disenfranchised from your community. You can't take care of your families. You can't be contributing members of your community. And so with that, the Honorable Brown, I'm going to ask you to vote for me on March 20th, David Kelly, 5th Judicial Subcircuit. Thank you, sir, very much for your time.
All right, let's stand and give all of our candidates a big round of applause for the evening. And now we'll have just brief closing remarks from each of our sponsors, starting with the NAACP, Ms. Rose Joshua.
I just wanted to say thank you all for coming out, and remember to go to the polls, get people out to vote. Remember also, we have membership applications back there. Join the NAACP today. Also, we are starting our civic engagement program. If you want to sign up and join that, just go back there, you can sign up. Thank you very much.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for sitting and listening to all of the people that came before you today. They are running countywide, citywide, statewide, and congressional candidates are running in federal districts. It is so important that you vote. Rainbow Push has deputy registrars here today. We also have cards that we put together that give you, on one side, all of the crucial dates for the election. When is the first day for early voting? When is the last day that the deputy registrar can register you? And you turn the card over, it tells you every office that is up for either election, which would be committeeman, or selection, which would be people running in the primary that you need to select to run against other parties in November. It is important. Election day is March 20th. The last day, the first day for early voting is February 21st. And the general election is November 6th. And as black and brown people, we need to make sure all of our people are registered and all of our people vote. Let's use Virginia, Alabama, and New Jersey as examples for us all to follow. Thank you so much.
Thank you you all for coming out to hear our forum. It's very important that we know who we should vote for. It's very important that we do vote. It's very important that as African Americans, we elect people that look like us on the bench. And I don't know if we're supposed to say this yet, but we've already endorsed one candidate for judge. Oh, okay. Mary, can you please stand up? We've already endorsed Mary. She's been doing great work, and she's always stepped back to let other people run. But we needed her to run because she has the heart and the soul. We need to, just like Mary, we need to elect other people who have our community at heart. Black people, in my opinion, are the most fairest people there are. And our judges will be fair. They'll be fair to everybody. So please look at these judges and remember them, and do not skip that section and anything. And remember, we'll be having sub-circuit in a few.
All right, I also want to recognize Mr. Richard Barnett. Mr. Richard Barnett, long-time political activist and a member of President Dorothy Brown, always helps us. But I want to thank you all for being here, and certainly say that we know how important it is. This last election in 2016 proved to all of us that it is vitally important that we know all about the individuals that are being elected. So we cannot stand to the side and just let things happen to us any longer. We cannot afford to do that. So that's why it's important that everyone really pay attention, learn, especially the governor race, the attorney general's race, those statewide races, even the countywide races, and of course the judicial races that we talked about here today, and the state representative races, and the county commissioners. All of these elected officials, all these positions affect our lives every day. And we all of a sudden, we know how fast it can affect our lives. I mean, we had the government shutdown. They want to get rid of our affordable health care. These things affect our lives. These individuals, they control the money, and the money affect our lives. So that's why it's so important that we vote. And God bless each and every one of you. We're going to call Pastor Moody. Where's Pastor Moody? For the benediction. I'm glad that those of you that are still here can go with prayer. This is one of my good friends from all the way in Orland Park. Good to see you, Yusuf. Thank you for being here. Come on up, Pastor Moody.
Lord, we thank you for the wonderful privilege of being here. We ask that everyone who leaves this place will leave under the hand of your protection, your direction, your guidance. And now we ask that as we go remembering that those who serve put themselves on the front line. So we now bless every candidate. We ask your wisdom, your guidance. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Let those together say, Amen.